Section 3, Guide to Speaking. About the independent speaking tasks. Sample responses for independent speaking.
Sample Response 1.
When I was young, I used to play rugby. I was a member of our national team, the junior team from my republic in the Soviet Union. My team, we became the junior champions of rugby of the Soviet Union. It was the most important and happiest time in my life. It was most important event in my life because I made my first big steps in rugby. Also because at that time I was only 14 years and it was, well, you could say the biggest success in my life. I was happy and I was proud of my success, of our team's success. These events will always be a pleasure to remember in my life as the best time I ever had. Even the success I've had in science and business cannot compare to this moment.
Sample Response 2.
For me, the most important day in my life was the day when I got accepted to Simmons College. I got accepted to the teaching program, and it was very exciting. The reason it's important for me because it took almost 2 years for me to get accepted to the program, and during these 2 years, I had to take the tests, and I had challenges because I had to take the test 2 times because of various reasons. So having seen that, I got this test boosted up, and I got accepted. It was worthwhile. And on top of that, during these 2 years, I worked hard on getting a job, and I was eligible enough to be offered the job. And the great thing also for financial reason is to be eligible for scholarship, which was a rare scholarship offered to foreigner. So it was overall a great day for me.
Sample Response 3.
The most important day in my life, I think the day that I got married to my wife. Because the first I met her, I was thinking a lot of things about how different between us, and I was thinking about culture, country, religions, a lot of things, even though education, and made me think just like whatever gonna happen, or just don't expect too much about our life. And the first time that I have chance to move to United States, to the US, I changed my mind a little bit about how to expect something about between us. And finally, I had a chance to marry her and make me more happy. And I think the day that most important day is my marriage day to her, and make me so happy and
Sample Response 4.
Most important day, I especially when have my first baby born. It was amazed. For the is beginning for the for big promise. Many time ago, several more or less important days of the life other day, I go in my first work. I was and the most important, for example, as holiday, the people go, the people to the house.
Exercise. Scoring the response.
Response 1.
The most important day of my life was last April the 15th, when Nico and I got married. We got married here in the US, and it was a very special day. We were very emotional and excited, and we were alone because our families were in our countries, but we invited our friends, best friends here, and it was very very special and very intimate. We got married in our place, and then we organized a little party with Italian food and wine and an Italian cake. And we were happy, and all of our friends were happy with us. So it was a very special day for us.
Response 2.
About most important day, that's the day I test the examination for go university. It decide our future. If you pass this you can go to university and can continue study. So in that day is very important. So in my country, the education is very different from here. When we are in school, there is we have only one main exam to pass, and I for Vietnamese youth in our life is such important day.
Response 3.
The day most important in my life was when I received the letter from the university in Montreal, and they accepted me to do my master's degree. But not just that, they also gave me a scholarship. So that made a big difference in my life, because I really wanted to go to a foreign country to study international law, and I didn't know if I would have been able to do it without all the help, and obviously my parents' help too. So I think the fact that they accepted me at the university that I really wanted to go was very exciting and made my life very happy, because I always dreamed about going and doing a master's degree, living in a different country, and I really wanted to do this master's because I thought that coming back to my country with a master's degree from a different country, with all the experiences living in and writing and speaking in different languages, sharing different cultures, could benefit a lot my country and my professional life.
Independent Speaking Preview Test. Directions.
The first 2 tasks in the speaking section are independent speaking tasks. You have 15 seconds in which to prepare your responses. When you hear a beep on the audio program, you will have 45 seconds in which to answer the questions. During actual tests, a clock on the screen will tell you how much preparation time or how much response time, speaking time, remains for each question. It is important that you time yourself accurately when you take this preview test. If possible, speak into a microphone and record your response. On an actual test, your responses will be recorded and evaluated by trained raters.
Task 1. Please listen carefully.
Describe the person who has had the greatest influence on your life. Explain why this person has had such an important influence on you. Give specific details and examples to support your explanation. Please begin speaking after the beep. Now, please stop speaking.
Task 2. Please listen carefully.
In some university classes, students are graded according to a pass-fail system. In other words, the only possible grades that you may receive are P, pass, or F, fail. In most classes, however, students are graded according to a more traditional system in which many letter grades can be given: A+, A, A-, B+, etc. Explain which of these 2 systems you prefer and why. Include details and examples in your explanation. Please begin speaking after the beep. Now, please stop speaking.
This is the end of the Independent Speaking Preview Test. Lesson 15. Personal Preference Task. Sample.
Describe the person who has had the greatest influence on your life. Explain why this person has had such an important influence on you. Give specific details and examples to support your explanation.
I think the person who has influenced me the most is my brother, my older brother. He's 6 years older than me and has always been a kind of model. Everyone in my family, actually everyone who has met my brother, thinks he's the kindest person who they know. Why I say that my brother is my most influential person? Well, he's had a big role in shaping my life. For example, my brother is a very good golfer, and when I was quite young, he started taking me to the golf course. He taught me to play. Today, playing golf and watching golf is the way how I relax. Also, after he finished university, my brother studied international law in the United States. Because of him, I've decided to go to university in the United States too.
Exercise 15.4, Question 1.
I'd say that the most important trip I've ever taken was a trip to Italy. It was a 2-week trip, and it was sponsored by my university. We went to Rome, to Florence, and then to the Italian Alps, the mountains in the north of Italy. I enjoyed this trip because I have always been interested in Renaissance art, and Florence has some of the best examples of this kind of art, such as Michelangelo's statue, David. I also enjoyed this trip because of the beautiful scenery, especially the mountain scenery. Oh, and another reason why this was a great trip was the food. I love Italian food.
Exercise 15.5, Question 1.
You are going to give a gift to a friend, and you want it to be symbolic of your country. Describe the gift that you would give. Include details and examples to support your explanation. Please begin speaking after the beep. Now, please stop speaking.
Question 2.
Describe your ideal job. Explain why you would like to have this job. Include details and examples to support your explanation. Please begin speaking after the beep. Now, please stop speaking.
Question 3.
Imagine that you have the ability to solve any one problem in the world. Describe which problem you would choose to solve, and explain how you would solve it. Include details and examples to support your explanation. Please begin speaking after the beep. Now, please stop speaking.
Lesson 16. Paired choice task. Sample.
In some university classes, students are graded according to a pass-fail system. In other words, the only possible grades that you may receive are P, pass, or F, fail. In most classes, however, students are graded according to a more traditional system, in which many letter grades can be given: A+, A, A-, B+, etc. Explain which of these two systems you prefer and why. Include details and examples in your explanation.
In my opinion, the letter grade system is the better. I see some advantage in the pass-fail system. For example, there is less stress on students, less pressure to try to get good grades. But personally, I like the challenge of grades, of working to get grades. A grade of A+ or A it's something to aim for, like a goal. Also, grades are a way to compare students, to compare their performances. This can be important in ranking students and later when students are looking out for jobs. For example, some businesses and some government agencies only hire people who are in the tops of their class. If everyone had a pass grade, they couldn't make good decisions about who to hire. So, all in all, I like the letter grade system.
Exercise 16.4. Question 1.
I think I'd rather work in the library than on the internet. Why do I say this? Well, it's pretty convenient to work at home on a home computer and find information on the web. However, from my experience, not all academic books and journals are available online now. At least not for free. Not in my field, anyway. You might have to pay to use some of these journals. Subscribe, you know? Also, a lot of the information that is online, it is not really appropriate for university research. It's not really academic. Finally, I just like to go to the library because I see a lot of people that I know there. It's, just more social.
Exercise 16.5. Question 1.
Some students prefer to go to a small college or university, while others prefer to go to a large university. Explain which view you prefer and why. Include details and examples in your explanation. Please begin speaking after the beep. Now, please stop speaking.
Question 2.
Some people believe that technology has improved life, while other people believe it has not. Explain which view you prefer and why. Include details and examples in your explanation. Please begin speaking after the beep. Now, please stop speaking.
Question 3.
Because of computers and telephones, it is now possible for many people to work at home. Some people enjoy this, while others would rather work in an office. Explain which of these you prefer. Include details and examples in your explanation. Please begin speaking after the beep. Now, please stop speaking.
About the integrated speaking tasks.
Now listen to two students discussing the new parking policy.
So, Brad, are you still going to be parking your car at the stadium next semester?
Huh? Oh, you mean because of the new parking rules? I don't know. I'm pretty upset about them. I mean, I always parked over at the stadium lot, and...
Me too. Why not? It was free. But still, it's not going to cost that much. Just $25 a semester. That's pretty cheap.
Yeah, but now you've got to register your car.
Yeah, so that's only $10.
Well, maybe for you that's all it'll be. But I have to pay my outstanding parking tickets first. That could be, I don't know, a lot. Maybe over $100. But it's not just the money. That parking lot at the stadium, it's never more than half full anyway. I don't know why the university should suddenly start charging us to park there. I just don't think it's fair.
Oh, I don't really agree. For one thing, it costs the university money to maintain those lots. They have to fix the cracks in the concrete, they have to paint lines, plow snow.
Well, sometimes they plow the snow. The other thing is, students who used to park at the stadium, now they're going to park in the neighborhood near campus. That's going to cause a problem for people who live there.
I don't know. I don't really think so. I think most people will just pay the fees and keep parking at the stadium. And the university has to raise money for the new parking structure somehow.
The woman expresses her opinion of the new parking policy. State her opinion and explain the reasons she gives for having that opinion.
Sample responses for integrated speaking.
Sample response 1.
The man is upset because of the parking rules, the new parking rules. He always parks at the stadium, but now he must pay $25. Also, he must register his car and pay his parking tickets. He doesn't think that the new rules are fair. The woman doesn't agree with what the man says. She thinks that this is not so much money to pay for parking. The university will use the money for repairing the parking lot, for plowing the snow, for painting the lines in the parking lot. They will also use it for building new parking structure. So, unlike the man, she thinks that the policy is fair.
Sample response 2.
The woman usually parks her car at the stadium, and for her, the new Minnesota policy about parking is not so bad, and she just want to have another opinion. And for the man, this is not a good policy because $25 per semester and more $10 for registering the car, it's too much. And maybe people will park their car in the neighborhood around the university. And so the two people have different opinions. The woman agrees with the university's policy while the men don't.
Sample response 3.
First, she's not she's not upset to university decision because she felt that the fee for parking and the registration is not expensive, only $25 for semester, and she thought university also have to pay to maintain the parking area. It may cost high. The cost for paving or painting and clean snow during the winter. So she thought that it's fair that university made a rule for parking.
Sample response 4.
The lady seemed like she more agree with the new policy because it seemed like she doesn't have the problem with the new parking rules. She really seemed like she ready to pay $25 per semester, but the guy Brad, he's kind of like a little bit upset, and he have some money situation, and he seems like don't want to pay more money. The lady she gave a good reason about why the university have to cost the money for the parking, and she also said that if they can have the money for fixing the stadium.
Exercise. Scoring the response.
Response 1.
The woman is in favor of the new rule for parking at the stadium. She thinks that it's very reasonable. It's only just $10. It's affordable to park in the stadium, and she thinks that everybody just will pay for it. So that also the fee that will be raised from parking will be used by the school because she thinks that the school needs some money to take care of the parking lot at the stadium. There are times, especially in the winter, when they need to plow, clean up, shovel, and other things, so that this fee raised or gathered from parking from the new rule policy will go towards that. And she thinks that this shouldn't be a big deal, and it will not cause problems this way, and there will be enough so that the parking lot will be taken care of.
Response 2.
There no longer is free parking, and the student must pay $10. There are two options. Can pay $75 or $25 to for the university parking. I don't think is too much for the students pay for the parking.
Response 3.
She kind of liked the new policy because eventually it's gonna be the good thing for the students, and actually the cost is not very much. It's only $25 for the parking, the outline lots, and also the registration fee is like $10. It's not very expensive for students, and also the school needs some money for maintain parking lots. So, and then they want to have more spaces for parking eventually. That's why she liked the idea and she support that idea.
Integrated Speaking Preview Test. Directions.
The last 4 tasks of the speaking section are integrated speaking tasks. The third and fourth questions involve a reading text and a listening passage. You will have 45 seconds in which to read a short text. You will then hear a short conversation or part of a lecture on the same topic. You may take notes on both the reading and listening passage. You will then see a question on the screen asking about the information that you have just read and heard, and you will have 30 seconds in which to plan a response. When you hear a beep on the audio program, you will have 60 seconds in which to answer the question. The fifth and sixth questions involve a short listening passage. You may take notes as you listen. After listening to the conversation or lecture, you will see a question, and you will have 20 seconds in which to plan your response. When you hear a beep on the audio program, you will have 60 seconds in which to answer the question. During actual tests, a clock on the screen will tell you how much preparation time or how much response time, speaking time, remains for each question. It is important that you time yourself accurately when you take this practice test. If possible, record your response. On an actual test, your responses will be recorded and evaluated by trained raters.
Task 3.
Beginning this semester, all faculty members at Monroe University are required to hand out copies of the university's plagiarism policy. You will have 45 seconds in which to read the policy. Begin reading now. Now listen to two students discussing this notice.
So it looks like they're serious about stopping plagiarism. I've gotten a copy of this in every class.
Yeah, well, in general, I don't have any argument with the policy. I'm just glad they're finally making this policy, making it a little more public, passing it out in every class. If I'd known about this policy a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have gotten in trouble.
Wait a minute. You got in trouble for plagiarism?
Well, it wasn't exactly plagiarism. At least, I didn't consider it plagiarism, but it did, violate the policy. See that part about using the same research paper for more than one class? Well, I was writing a paper for a geology class and one for a chemistry class. They were both about hydrocarbon compounds, and I used one section of my geology paper in my chemistry paper. I didn't know I couldn't do that. I'll tell you one thing, that software for detecting plagiarism really works, or at least it did for my paper.
So what happened? Did you just get a warning?
No, at the time I was in my second year here, and so the grade on both my papers was lowered by a whole letter grade. That's another thing about this policy. I don't understand why a first-year student gets a warning and a second-year student gets a lower grade. That doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, I know. That seems strange to me, too. I suppose the idea is the longer you've been a student here, the more aware of the policy you should be. I guess you should be glad that it didn't happen when you were an upperclassman, or you would have failed both classes.
Now get ready to answer the question.
Question 3. The man expresses his opinion of the policy. State his opinion and explain the reasons he gives for having that opinion. Please start talking now. Please stop talking now.
Task 4.
Read these paragraphs from a textbook describing animal camouflage. Begin reading now. Now listen to part of a lecture in a zoology class.
So, we've been talking about ways animals avoid predators, especially how animals use camouflage to stay safe, to hide from their predators. Let's consider an animal called the sloth. The sloth is a mammal that lives in the forests of Central America, South America. They hang from trees and they're lazy, very slow-moving. They sleep 15 hours a day. Anyway, sloths are a very dull color. Their fur is a dull brown, and it has dull green streaks in it. Know what those green streaks are? They're algae, a kind of plant. This animal moves around so slowly that plants grow on it. Anyway, this dull green and brown color camouflages the sloth when it's hanging from trees. Then there's a butterfly. You may have heard of it. It's called the blue morpho. It also lives in Central and South America. It has beautiful, shiny blue wings. It's so pretty, its nickname is the living jewel. You look at a blue morpho, you think, now this creature is not camouflaged. But in fact it is. Blue morpho's wings are only bright blue when viewed from the top. The bottoms of its wings are dark brown. When it flaps its wings and flies, there are alternating flashes of bright blue and brown. When birds see this, they think they're seeing flashes of blue sky between trees. So although blue morphos sure don't seem camouflaged to us, they're basically invisible to predators.
Now get ready to answer the question.
Question 4. The professor describes how camouflage protects two types of animals. Explain how this is related to the concepts of camouflage described in the reading. Please start talking now. Please stop talking now.
Task 5.
Listen to a conversation between two students.
Hey, Lucy. How are things?
Hi, Rick. I don't know. Okay, I suppose. I'm just exhausted.
Yeah, you do look kind of tired. How come?
Well, I just never get enough sleep. My classes are really hard this term, especially my physiology class. So I'm in the library until it closes at 11, and then I study for a couple of hours or so when I get back to my dorm room.
Yeah, I've had a couple semesters like that myself.
I feel especially dead in the afternoon, and I have a 1 o'clock and a 3 o'clock class. Yesterday, the most incredibly embarrassing thing happened in my physiology class. I actually fell asleep. I've never done that before. And Dr. Daniels was like, "Am I boring you, Miss Jenkins?"
That's embarrassing. You should do what I do. Just get yourself some coffee.
Yeah, I bought a cup of coffee from the vending machine the other day. It was terrible.
Vending machine coffee's usually pretty awful.
you could walk up to College Avenue. There are a couple coffee shops up there.
Yeah, but it's pretty expensive, and I don't know. Sometimes coffee just makes me really nervous. I don't feel that awake. I just feel nervous.
Hey, here's an idea. What buildings are your afternoon classes in?
One's in Old Main and one's in Castleton.
Those aren't far from your dorm. Here's what you should do. Go by your dorm and lie down for 15 or 20 minutes between your two classes.
I don't know. I haven't taken a nap during the day, probably since I was in kindergarten.
Yeah, but you don't have to sleep. Just lie down and completely relax. If you sleep, that's fine. If not, I still think you'll find yourself refreshed.
Now get ready to answer the question.
Question 5. The man offers Lucy 2 possible solutions to her problem. Discuss her problem and then explain which of the 2 solutions you think is better and why you think so. Please start talking now. Please stop talking now.
Task 6.
Listen to part of a lecture in a linguistics class.
You know, Wednesday after class, a student came up to me and said, "Professor, you're constantly using the terms language and dialect in class, but you never really define these words." Fair enough, I guess I haven't. And there's a good reason why not. I'm afraid to. Because, in my opinion, there's no good way to distinguish between these 2 terms. The standard definition of dialect is this: they're forms of one language that are mutually intelligible to speakers of other forms of the same language. If you have someone from Jamaica, say, and someone from India, and they're seated next to each other on an airplane, they'll be able to have a conversation. They'll more or less understand each other, even though those are 2 very different dialects of English. But consider the various forms of Chinese. A person from southern China can't understand a person from Beijing. Yet these forms of Chinese are usually considered dialects, not separate languages. Now, people who speak different languages are not supposed to be intelligible to those who cannot speak that language. But what about Danish and Norwegian? Danish speakers and Norwegian speakers can understand each other perfectly well, but Danish and Norwegian are considered separate languages, not dialects of the same language. Why? Who knows? I suppose part of it's national pride. Countries are proud of owning a language. In fact, there's an old joke among linguists that a language is a dialect with an army and a navy. Anyway, these questions, what is a language, what is a dialect, they're difficult to answer, and I guess that's why I've avoided them up till now.
Now get ready to answer the question.
Question 6. Using specific examples and points from the lecture, explain the professor's concept of dialects and languages. Please start talking now. Please stop talking now.
This is the end of the integrated speaking preview test.